Welcome back to the channel, my friends. Warhammer Man Studios. I'm Warhammer Man, and today we're taking a look at the Combat Patrol rules and missions. This video is sponsored by CMO Games. More on that later. Combat Patrol rules and missions. Everything you need to play this fresh new game mode. So we have been playing through Combat Patrol, testing out some of the armies, the balance in the game, and I have to say the game is in a phenomenal shape right now. Games Workshop has done an amazing job balancing the various combat patrols against each other. I honestly wasn't sure how exactly it was going to work. We had some of them like the Astra Militarum combat patrol that was literally closer to like 400 points. And then we have other ones like the Adeptus Custodes combat patrol, which can be built to like 7, even 800 points. So the idea that these things were going to be able to be balanced against each other, stay at the same price point for like the actual boxes, and still make for like fun games was a little bit of a stretch. But now, after going through all of the rules, after playing some games, after really experiencing what Games Workshop has done here, I have to say they completely nailed it. Now, of course, there's going to be some bad matchups. If you put one combat patrol against the worst matchup, of course, it's going to be tough to win for the underdog. But for the most part, every one of them has their strengths and their weaknesses. Everyone has specific missions that you can choose between. You get 2 objectives, essentially, and then also the choice of upgrades. So if you have a bad game against somebody the first time, maybe try switching up your enhancement, maybe try switching up to the other objective, and then see if the game still works out poorly. And of course, there's still going to be some matchups. I'm sure there's some that we haven't played yet, but so far we've been really enjoying the game mode. And because these things are balanced basically in a bubble, you don't have these crazy issues right now that people are complaining about with like specific units or things being broken, etc. So I understand everybody is super excited to play the new edition, and unfortunately when you roll out this much stuff all at once, there's bound to be a bunch of errors. And we know Games Workshop is not the best at picking out errors. Usually the community has to do that en masse. And that's exactly what's taking place right now. So it is the beginning of 10th edition. It's literally only been out for a couple weeks. We're still getting new roles. We're still getting updates, upgrades, fixes, all kinds of stuff. So if you're really that worried about balance and having a good time, I highly recommend that you and your friends give Combat Patrol a try. Still get to play the game, still get familiar with the new rules and how everything works, but the balance isn't an issue like some of the larger games, like some of the other units. I'm fully confident at the speed Games Workshop has been rolling stuff out, the corrections, the fixes, the adjustments, etc., that they are 100% dedicated to balancing this game. I think coming out of 9th edition, it definitely seems like a downgrade coming into 10th, the balance and everything, because we had 3 years basically to like perfect the game mode, and honestly, 9th edition was in a really good place. So it's not surprising that after 3 years of fine-tuning and hundreds of thousands of games in the community and adjustments, that 9th edition was in a really good place. So rolling out a new edition, there's definitely going to be some bumps, some hiccups, maybe even a car crash or two. But that being said, Games Workshop has made it very clear these are not the days of old where years go by without them fixing things. It is quite the opposite. They are literally digitally fixing things without even saying anything. A lot of the issues I've noticed on data sheets or in the rules have just been silently corrected when no one was looking. Should Games Workshop point out all these fixes as they go? Maybe. I think it would be better. It would be cool if there was a place that you could go to and see all of the changes specifically. So you would notice if there was an issue on one of your cards or there was a data sheet incorrect. And there's definitely still a bunch of stuff I've noticed that hasn't been corrected yet. But I think in time, as we pointed out, Games Workshop can correct the things that were mistakes and then also adjust the things that are not in balance. So anyway, we should give them a little bit of time. You guys know I am far from a Games Workshop apologist, but 10th edition is awesome. Combat Patrol is absolutely amazing. And I think in time, the full game mode will be absolutely amazing as well. And I'm fully confident this is going to be the best edition ever. So that being said, let's jump into this article. And Games Workshop once again immediately came out and gave us the stuff that was missing for anybody that doesn't already have the rulebook. So now everything is available for Combat Patrol, including the missions. Combat Patrol is fast and fun way to get into the new edition of Warhammer 40,000. It's designed to offer small games and minimal setup and no list building, perfect for getting a game in during a lunch break or to introduce beginners to the Warhammer hobby. The 6 missions are currently available in the Leviathan Core Book, but you can now download them for free right here. Once you've downloaded them, all you need to play is a Combat Patrol for each player, 44 by 30 battlefield. That's a pair of gaming boards laid side by side and a little stack of terrain to give your patrols some cover to fight around. And that is just 2 of the Kill Team game boards, not the new ones for Into the Dark and that series, but the standard ones that they have been using for years. So you literally just slap 2 of those bad boys next to each other, throw a little terrain on the table, select your mission, set up, and start playing. And honestly, the game flow is awesome. Now, there's definitely some combat patrols that are really strong, and there's definitely some that have some weaknesses. One of the biggest things I've noticed is for some of the combat patrols, you have like 6 or 7 different units you're able to move around the table to accomplish things, etc. As where a couple of them have some serious restrictions because they have only a few units. So having more actual models is cool and everything, but the ability to have multiple units in a small game is really important. So that was one of the biggest restrictions I've noticed so far, is a couple of combat patrols only have like 4 different units. But Games Workshop has also set it up so some of the larger units that are included in some of the combat patrols can actually be split in half and kind of create 2 units from them as well. Now a quick message from today's sponsor. CMO Games has been selling Games Workshop products online for over 20 years. They carry the full line of Games Workshop products, including Warhammer 40,000, Age of Sigmar, Necromunda, Blood Bowl, paint tools, and more. Almost all Games Workshop products are priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games takes pre-orders for most Games Workshop products released at their earliest date possible. 12:01 a.m. on Saturday, they go live. Most of these pre-order products are also priced at 15% off MSRP. CMO Games offer free shipping in the US 48 with an order of $50 or more. Their customer service is top-notch and they ship most orders within 24 hours. Visit CMOGames.com using the affiliate link in the description and let them know that you heard about CMO Games from Warhammer Man. Now back to the video. Every combat patrol has its own rules to ensure that they've balanced against each other, trimming out some of the abilities that would be overwhelming in smaller scale games. They also each come with a unique pair of secondary objectives and enhancements, plus a set of custom stratagems, all on just a couple of pages. The result? Tense, involved, but straightforward games that can be played in less than an hour. There's still plenty of nuance and Warhammer 40,000 experts to enjoy, swapping out enhancements and secondary objectives to mix up their playstyle, and mastering each faction's combat patrol in turn, without having to build up a full incursion or strike force-sized army. The general combat patrol rules and 6 combat patrol missions are available in the Warhammer 40,000 core book and the Leviathan book. You can now download them for free right here. All that's left to do is download the core rules and the rules for combat patrol of choice, and you've got all the rules you need to play. It's as simple as that. Now go and conquer many tiny battlefields of your own creation. Alright, so here is the new download here, and it is 12 pages, and you'll notice it is literally just scanned right from the rulebook. So if you already have Leviathan, if you already have the rulebook, this is straight out of it, and this is all of those missions. So you basically give it a scroll down here and it tells you essentially like what the battlefield is, what battle ready is for your paint jobs. It gives you an idea of how much terrain you should be using, and then just runs you straight down through like how you actually start your game. You choose your enhancements, your leader, determine the mission, objectives, and you're ready to play. So it is super smooth. I think everybody should give it a try. Even if you have to proxy in a couple models, if you don't have all of the exact stuff from it, I highly recommend that you give it a try. And you do have access to the 6 missions straight from the rulebooks as well. So at this point in time, that is literally everything you need to play Combat Patrol, with the exception of the actual boards, the actual terrain, and then your Combat Patrol dice, etc. And then here on this page, we have access to all of the various Combat Patrols and the specific rules for each of them. So if we just go over to the Space Marines, we have the Strike Force Octavius, which is included in the Leviathan box set. You have the Captain in Terminator armor, Librarian in Terminator armor, 5 Terminators, and then your Infernus squad. So you don't have to make any selections, just build those guys up and you are ready to play with them. And then you have your actual army rule, your abilities, your enhancements. If you start with the regular one right here, if you play a couple games and it's not going well, you can switch to the other one right here. Or if you think you're going to have a better matchup, if you change that out. And then same thing with the secondary objectives. You have your regular secondary objective. If you're not liking that one or you don't think it's going to do well in this game mode, you can switch over to the second secondary objective. And then you have a couple of stratagems as well. Pretty simple, pretty straightforward. It's only 6 pages for all this, and a couple of those pages are pictures. So in all reality, you're basically looking at like 2 pages front and back. So pretty freaking awesome. It is worth note though that if you have the regular data cards or you're using those regular data cards, you need to use the Combat Patrol specific ones because there are some changes to them. So everything is kind of like toned down or like toned up in Combat Patrol to kind of help balance them. The objectives all of the different things are designed specifically to help balance them against each other. So you need to make sure that you're using the correct thing or the balance may seem off. So yeah, that is it. Very cool. Now everything is available for free. You don't have to have bought anything. If you have purchased a Combat Patrol in the past and you already have it built up and ready to go, you can literally just try out all the new rules, the new game mode, everything absolutely free. Very, very cool. You know, I'm the first one to criticize Games Workshop when they do something wrong. I'm also the first one to give them a pat on the back when they do something right. And I have to say, there's definitely been some hiccups with the release. It's easy to complain that Leviathan sold out too quickly, but there's still plenty of copies around the world. It's easy to complain that there is problems with Big 40K and balance and mistakes and stuff like that. But the truth is, you know, we're a couple weeks into the edition. Everybody's excited to play and rushing in. And part of what we're doing right now is basically beta testing the new edition. And if we provide constructive feedback back to Games Workshop, we know 100% over the last couple of years, proven over and over again, that they will step in and make changes where necessary. And based on how necessary those changes are, will also dictate the speed and ferocity that they come in and fix them. So everybody stay positive, have a little fun, give Combat Patrol a try, and let me know what you think. Always like to hear your guys' opinions. If you've already played a few games, if you found some really awesome games, some really awesome dynamics, or maybe just some bad matchups, I'd love to hear about them in the description. As always, special thanks to CMO Games for sponsoring the video. Check them out to pick up one of these Combat Patrols at 15% off, link in the description. That's it for today. Warhammer Man Studios, I'm Warhammer Man, and I'm obsessed with Combat Patrol. And I'm out of here.